Well, good afternoon and welcome to our live Zoom that we are doing right now. I'm sitting here with Trina Bol. My name is Becky Taylor. I'm from Bellingham, Washington. And today, Trina is going to be giving a presentation, and I'll be interjecting here and there, but this is about biohacking the aging code and 7 steps to an ultra mind. Now, I have been a part of this biohacking your aging code and biohacking your body program for the last 2 years, and it was introduced to me in the same way that we are going to be introducing it to you with this ABC Primetime Investigative Report, and with a little bit of a follow-up as well after the report. So when this was introduced to me and I saw this video and it starts out like you're going to see it, literally something inside of me leapt, and I said, if this is even half true, this is something very big, and this is something that I want to begin to incorporate and put into my body, and I did. And I'm happy to report that after several years, probably more than 6 years of severe sleep deprivation, which led to almost adrenal failure, and a 5-year, I would say, habit, necessity in my mind of Ambien. I was off Ambien in 9 days from what we were going to be talking to you about today. Now that would lead me on a journey to saying, I have to share this with my world. And Trina was one of my first people that I shared this with fairly early on, and she's going to share her story of what this then would trigger in her life. And I shared with her, I'll just say in advance, because I knew her mother had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I knew that this was a product and something that could possibly help or begin something inside of her mom. So she'll tell the story of how that took place, but that's how Trina entered in. And I've known Trina for 30 some years now. We've known each other for a very long time, more than 30 years, I believe it is now. And so we've known each other for a very long time. And so she was just one that I naturally would reach out to because of my love for her, my love for her parents. And anyway, we're going to go on and share that story later. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'm going to hand it over to Trina, who's going to share her story briefly and quickly. But we also just want you to know that this is a presentation that may be about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, but it is a whole education. This is not just about biohacking your body and the aging code. This is about the story of the nutrigenomics and Alzheimer's connection and how 7 steps to an ultra mind. That is really where we're going with this presentation today. So we hope you enjoy the presentation. I think you're going to find out some amazing information and things that you have not ever known and heard before. I know it was new to me and it's riveting to me. So hang in there with us. You're in for a wonderful ride. Trina, take it away.
So hi everyone, my name is Trina Bol and I live in Ferndale, which is part of Whatcom County, up closer to the border. And when Becky shared with me this video, which you're going to see, you know, she did suggest that it might be something to help my mom. And if you have ever been involved with someone who has a chronic illness, when they're diagnosed, you begin to look for anything that might help you or help them. And so I was very interested to watch the video, and I watched the video. And what happened was that I immediately said to my husband, you know what, I need to be on this as well. You need to be on this. We should be taking this product. So we decided, after talking with my dad, that we were going to buy the product and we were going to buy it for my mom. The short story of what happened with that is that my mom had progressed to stage 6. She is now stage 6 of 7 of Alzheimer's, but at the time she had reached the point where she couldn't swallow pills. And so if you are a caregiver of someone with a chronic illness and you do round-the-clock care, asking to do one more thing in your daily care routine is a huge monumental thing. And so trying to get my dad to crush up the pill and put it in her food was just kind of beyond his scope at that point. So we kind of just let it go. But the interesting thing is that I had not actually been taking the product, and it had just kept building up every month as it came, and I had this whole shelf full of it. So I finally just told my husband, we've got to start taking this. And when we did, all these things started to change for us. And there's lots of little things that changed. We got better sleep. He quit having insomnia. Two big changes for my husband was his mood and his outlook on life changed. He'd kind of gotten to the point where he was angry and upset all the time, and he wasn't really a nice person to be around. And that changed within a month. He was back to laughing and joking and teasing everyone, and back to the happy person that he used to be. And the other big thing for him was he has been on high narcotic pain medication for 30 some odd years because he had a major back injury. And once he got on this product, he quit taking his pain medication. He didn't need it anymore. So that was really huge for him. And for me personally, it's done a few things. It's helped me. It's gotten rid of almost all of my premenopausal symptoms. It's gotten better sleep. I'm less stressed, and I have a very high stress job. So having that is a real bonus for me. But the big thing for me was I lived in chronic pain as well because my hips were damaged when I had my first son. And I couldn't really sit very long. I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk. I couldn't lay down. Like, really no position was comfortable. So having that disappear and no longer having that anymore, it's like a new lease on life. I feel like a completely different person. So all of this totally changed our lives. And when you get excited about something, you wanna share it with people. So I began to tell people about this product and share this video with them. But while all that was happening, on this other side of my life was living and dealing with my mom having Alzheimer's, and trying to understand it and trying to know what it was and how it affected everything. And I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the video that we watched so that you can see what brought us to this point in the journey and understand kind of a basis of where we're going for the next step.
Primetime investigative report that started the biohacking revolution in 2005.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life.
It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment, a kind of guinea pig.
Dr. McCord, okay.
I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist.
This is a pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company.
They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body,
Leading to disease.
leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result? Oxidative stress. And we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells. But as we get older, some of those toxic radicals overwhelm our enzymes and wreak their havoc. For a long time, scientists thought that antioxidant vitamins like C and E would lower it, but they don't.
It's turned out in just the last 5 years or so, we see that they're not good enough tools. They're not powerful enough.
But this pill, he says, is powerful enough. In fact, many times more powerful.
So, doctor, how often do I take this?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment. It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Whether that will lead to longer life is still unknown. Experiments to see if mice live longer are about to get underway, but it's a tantalizing theory.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes.
Have you discovered the fountain of youth?
I wouldn't put it that way, but we may have discovered something that will tell us a lot more about how we age, what happens biochemically, and maybe how we can slow it down. So you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
Back to the oxidative stress levels of a child? It sounds too good to be true. Will Protandim work on me?
But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Have we turned back the clock? Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
Would you suggest I keep taking this supplement?
I would.
And so, ancient Eastern healing and modern Western medicine may soon be working together. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks, even mental disease. Yes, depression. We do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease processes. I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The company that makes Protandim says its tests show the pill, made from ingredients used for centuries, is absolutely safe. But because it's being sold as a nutritional supplement and not a drug, Protandim does not need FDA approval for safety. For more, go to our website at abcnews.com.
Protandim NRF2 is protected by 7 U.S. patents. Major universities and government agencies initiated and continue self-funded studies following the ABC Primetime Investigative Report you just viewed that originally aired back in 2005. These studies continue to reveal more scientific evidence about Protandim NRF2's unique benefits and to evaluate how this anti-aging breakthrough can prevent and improve many of the problems associated with aging. The next video will bring you up to date on where we are today.
Our bodies are amazing machines. A machine that is constantly working to combat the environmental and biological stresses attacking it. We breathe in pollution. Our body works to filter it out. We get hot or cold. Our body works to regulate itself. We get sunburned, sick, or injured, and our body works to repair itself. But like any machine, just doing what it is designed to do eventually leads to wear and tear. And therefore, the longer it works, the less effective it becomes. It gradually begins to break down. And in the case of our bodies, we age. But what if that weren't the case? What if you could flip the tables so that as your body does what it is designed to do, it actually became more capable of dealing with the environmental and biological stress? It sounds amazing, doesn't it? Well, you don't have to imagine it, because that world is here. Introducing Lifevantage, a publicly traded company at the forefront of nutrigenomics. Using nutrition and naturally occurring compounds to improve your gene expression for a healthier and potentially longer life. Our first breakthrough in nutrigenomics came with the discovery of the NRF2 protein, also known as a master regulator of the body's stress response. Now, aging and many of its unwanted problems are linked to the breakdown of our body cells caused by stress, damage from an overload of free radicals. Our patented Protandim NRF2 synergizer stimulates the NRF2 protein, resulting in the body producing its own powerful protective antioxidant enzymes, and is the only supplement proven in a clinical study to reduce oxidative stress in humans right after 40% in 30 days, therefore reducing liver oxidation to the level of a much younger individual. A recent peer-reviewed study from Washington State University calls NRF2 activation one of the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthroughs in the history of medicine. In a $3.4 billion antioxidant supplement industry, Protandim stands out as the key to making antioxidants rather than taking them. But there's another problem linked to aging that you need to fix: the breakdown of your mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. They make adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the fuel that pumps your heart, supports muscle growth, and encourages healthy brain function. And because mitochondria are the source of 95% of your body's energy, as your mitochondria decay, so does your energy level. Protandim NRF1 Synergizer is a new breakthrough that supports mitochondria production and reverses the impact of cellular aging. When you combine both Protandim products, you reduce oxidative stress and help your body support mitochondria production so that you can have healthy, energetic, and youthful cells. Lifevantage, at the forefront of nutrigenomics.
So, hopefully you can hear us. Okay, so what happened with my mom is actually we're going to go through a couple slides here. So the rest of this presentation is on the 7 steps to creating an ultra mind, and it's about the power of lifestyle, epigenetics, and nutrigenomics. So you might want to know, what is epigenetics? So that's the scientific study of what prompts our genes to express in either a positive or a negative way. So what's nutrigenomics? Well, this is the scientific study of how nutrients and natural components affect those genes. So why does this matter to you? Well, because we have a genetic marker doesn't mean we have to express that genetic code. We're discovering that we have the power to biohack our genetic code and change what genes actually get expressed. So what if your family medical history doesn't have to actually be your fate? I have chosen to biohack my genetic code and not express Alzheimer's. And I just want to know, what don't you want to express, known or unknown? I mean, you may know of diseases that are in your family history, heart disease or other things like that. And there may be things in your body that you don't even know are there yet that could potentially be developing. So everyone has something that they don't want to express. So this is my mom. Her name is Amy Silvis, and she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's July of 2012. And it took us almost 2 years to convince my mom and my dad to actually go to the doctor to get the diagnosis. They just really, every time we had a conversation with them, they just shut the conversation down. And my dad wanted to take my mom out of the country on a trip to Costa Rica, and I put my foot down and I told him that he was not taking her out of the country until she'd been checked out by a doctor. And they agreed to go to the doctor, and what happened was she got diagnosed with early on stage Alzheimer's, July of 2012. And right after she got diagnosed, my mom told me that she believed she had done this to herself. And, we believe that what we say and what we think about creates our world. And so we both have that belief system. And a couple of years before my dad retired, she would say, I'm so glad that when your dad retires, I'm not going to have to remember anything ever again. And it's because she, had a lot to think about when it came to his work and things, and she was always kind of his memory, and she was just excited that she wasn't going to have to worry about all of that stuff. But in her conversation for 2 years before he retired, she really created that mindset that she would forget things once he was retired. And shortly after he retired is when she got the diagnosis of having Alzheimer's. So that was a really interesting thing to note. And I just want you to know that if you are talking that way to yourself or to other people, even jokingly, your biological system does not know the difference between a joke and what you're saying. So you need to quit speaking that way to yourself or to other people. But part of this story is my dad. So my dad. His name is Wally, and he is the round-the-clock caregiver for my mom right now. And partway through this Alzheimer's journey with my mother, what happened was I began to be more concerned about my dad as the caregiver than my mom as the actual person with Alzheimer's. I know she's getting good care. My dad is giving her good care. But no one was caring for my dad. I noticed that he dropped a lot of weight. He was full of stress. He was tired. He had lost his patience. And about a year ago, he kind of had a mental and emotional breakdown. And it just kind of lost it with me one day in regards to the whole thing and caring for mom and just everything. And it was at that point in time that I realized that my dad was never going to be the person to, get on social media and join a support group or get on the Alzheimers.org site and research what they had to say there or join, a local support group. It just wasn't who he was. And so I realized that needed to be me. I needed to be the one to do that. Both of my brothers live a couple of hours away from us, and they're not available for my dad to sit down and talk to like that face to face. So it needed to be me. I needed to get educated on what Alzheimer's was. And during this whole process, over the last 5 years, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. My best friend was diagnosed with MS. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And my 3-year-old nephew was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and ADHD. All of those things are neurologically based. So I have a lot of reason to be invested in understanding the connection between what's happening neurologically and our body and how we can fix it or address it. So I just wanted to share this statistic with you, and it says that 30 to 50% of those who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia never have the slightest bit of it, but have something else that was treatable. And that quote comes from Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum. And that quote that really upset me, because there are a lot of things that can present as dementia or Alzheimer's that isn't really that. And so what happens is people go in and they're having issues, and they go and talk to their doctor, and their doctor puts them on Alzheimer's medications because they think that that's what's happening with them, when in reality it's probably something that could be fixed through nutrition or through hormone imbalances and other things. And they get on these products, and then the next thing you know, they actually are developing the disease because it's creating havoc inside their body. And Dr. Pamela Smith says, just because you inherit a genetic marker does not mean you have to turn it on. You can put your body into a better environment so the gene doesn't activate. You can control this. You are not stuck with your genetic history. And when I heard that is when I realized we really do have the power of prevention. But the problem is no one knows we have the power of prevention. And it actually, what really kind of got me mad, which I've shared with Becky a couple of times, is that what the doctors were saying, these doctors who are on the edge or cutting edge of Alzheimer's research are saying, is that what they're learning is that there's actually a more holistic approach that's working for Alzheimer's patients. But because it's not pharmaceutical and because it's not funded by pharma, big pharma, they can't get the word out. And even getting the word out is really going to take 25 years before it gets from their knowledge base to your local GP knowing about it and actually implementing it in their practice. And for me, I'll be 75 by then. So that's just, that's not good enough. It really makes me angry when I think about it. And so that's kind of how I ended up here, is because I thought there has to be a better way. And with Becky's encouragement, she, has just really been encouraging me to tell people and to share this information that I've been learning so that they understand that they have other options. So this is the epidemic of our broken brain. So 26% of the adult population, which is equal to 60 million Americans, has psychiatric disorders. 20% of children have some type of psychiatric disorder. Over 40 million people suffer from anxiety. Over 20 million have depression. 1 in 10 people are on an antidepressant. 9% of children between the ages of 8 and 15 are diagnosed with ADHD. Children being diagnosed with autism used to be 1 in 10,000. It is now 1 in every 166, and the change in this has happened only in the last decade. 10% of children are affected by some type of learning disability. 30 to 50% of people over the age of 70, which happens to be the fastest growing segment of our population, have Alzheimer's. And scientists and doctors are predicting that 106 million people will have Alzheimer's by 2050, and that it will outpace cancer. And I just want that to sink in for a minute, because I bet that there's not anyone out there that you could ask if they've been touched by cancer and have them say no. In some way, somehow, someone has been touched by cancer. A friend, a coworker, a family member. So if you think about how common cancer is right now, and you think about the fact that they think Alzheimer's is going to outpace it, that's kind of staggering to think about. And then, of course, we have over 1 billion people worldwide that are living with chronic pain every single day. And these brain deficits account for a loss of productivity equal to 80 billion a year. And on top of that, we have had 60,000 opioid overdoses this last year and 40,000 suicides last year, and the numbers are on the rise. And both of these are rooted in brain imbalance. Go ahead. So your entire body and all of the core systems within it act as a single sophisticated symphony. You are one whole person, and all the pieces of your biology and your unique genetic code interact with your environment to determine how sick or how well you are in this moment. So if you're looking at this picture, you can see these are the different systems in our body, and each single system can go out of balance. But when one of them goes out of balance, inevitably the others follow. So even though you may have a problem in your digestion, it can actually manifest in your skin or in other areas, and you don't realize that that's what it's doing. And that's part of the problem that's going on right now in our medical field, is that doctors who specialize in every area of the body. If you're in medical school, one of the first things they do is they want you to decide what specialty you're going to go into, because that's how our medical world works right now. You go and get an education and you specialize in something. And there are very few doctors who actually understand the whole body as one complete ecosystem. So that is where we have to actually change our way of thinking. So what is oxidative stress? Well, the best example of oxidative stress is a picture of a banana. And when you buy a banana, it's that really pretty yellow color. And if you leave it sitting on your counter, it begins to get spotted brown. And you leave it sitting there longer, and eventually the banana turns black. Well, that's oxidative stress, and that's oxidative stress in our body. That is exactly what's happening to our cells on a cellular level. So that is what we are trying to combat, because as you can see from this graph, that oxidative stress affects every area of our body, and when it is affecting those areas, you get things like myocardial infarction, and you get skin aging and psoriasis, and you get macular degeneration, and you get rheumatoid arthritis and psoriasis, asthma, allergies, cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, autism, migraines, MS, lupus, autoimmune disorders, inflammation. I mean, all of these things are caused in our body by oxidative stress. So we need to deal with the oxidative stress. So I'm going to have Becky kind of tell you a little story about being a house on fire.
So this is an illustration here that is probably another visual, and some of you that are like me that love visual illustrations, I want you to see your body as the house and the fire as oxidative stress. Now, we need to put this fire out because it's damaging every system and every room of our home. And so oftentimes we're like, okay, getting rid of oxidative stress, what is needed to do that? And Trina's going to address that a little bit later, but what it is getting rid of the inflammation. See the fire also as massive inflammation in your body. Where there's inflammation going on, there's damage. And then, so you find out your house is on fire, and you run to the grocery store and buy a box of blueberries, or have a salad and say, I'm going to eat a healthy salad tonight and try to get my fire out of my house, or I'm going to eat a serving of blueberries. Well, you've just handed yourself a Dixie cup of water and thrown a Dixie cup on the fire. Is that going to work? No. Is it good to eat healthily? Yes. But that is not going to put out the fire. What the body is created with is an entire inbred sprinkler system. So imagine going inside that house and go, oh, well, we have a sprinkler system in this house. Why are we letting it burn? And you switch on the sprinkler system. That is what NRF2 activation does. It switches on the sprinkler system in every room of the house, turns the activity back on to put the fire out and to reduce and hopefully close to remove oxidative stress as it's been created in our bodies through our diets, through the air we breathe, just through the aging process. So that is what is taking place when we are turning on and switching on our body's own ability to remove oxidative stress. Back to Trina.
So I wanted to share a story with you that one of the doctors that I've been following shared with people, and it's called the thumbtack theory. And I think it's really relevant because if you sat on a thumbtack and you were hurting, if someone went up to you and said, oh, you're hurting, let me give you some aspirin, the aspirin might numb the pain, but until you remove the thumbtack, you're still going to have problems. So imagine that you sat down and you sat on multiple thumbtacks, and I came to you and I said, oh, here, let me give you something to fix, thumbtack A. And we remove thumbtack A. Well, if you don't remove all the other thumbtacks, you're still going to be in pain. You're still going to have problems. You're still going to have inflammation or whatever those things are that are causing it. And so this is where we have to change our way of thinking. We can't go to the doctor and get a pill for every ill. We need to actually begin to look at what's the underlying core causes of things, because you deal with those and that's going to change the whole system. And when you do that, you get real health. So I want to just talk about neuroplasty. So this is the good news. Around 50 years ago, there was a doctor who wanted to prove that our brain was fixed, that it never changes. The brain you're born with is the brain you die with. And he went and did this study. And what happened was he discovered that it was actually the opposite, that our brains are neuroplastic, meaning that they change throughout our lifetime, and that we can actually transform our brain at any age to be our biological best, which was groundbreaking and revolutionary for how we look at the brain. But what's really interesting in what they discovered is that thinking, learning, and acting literally, both on a functional level and a physical level, change the brain. It actually makes your brain look different. It actually makes it function different. So how do we change our brain? Well, we manipulate our brain to be its biological best through nutrition, supplementation, and lifestyle. So we're going to talk about how to create an ultra brain, but I just want to see if you can identify yourself or anyone you know with some of these things. So the signs of a broken brain. On the lighter side of having a broken brain, you might have chronic stress, lack of focus, poor concentration, brain fog, anger, mood swings, sleep problems. Maybe you feel anxious all the time, or you have mental or emotional absence from those around you. On the heavier side of a broken brain is anxiety, depression, bipolar disease, personality disorders, addictions, obsessive compulsive disorder, attention deficit disorder, autism, Asperger's syndrome, learning difficulties, dyslexia, schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and MS. So the things that affect our health overall are diet, nutritional deficiencies, allergens, hormonal imbalances, infections, toxins, stress, lifestyle, your thoughts, your beliefs, the community you belong to, your purpose, and your sense of belonging in the world. And when you want to intervene in your health, you need to be looking at biological, nutritional, psychological, spiritual, and social. You have to treat the whole person in all 4 areas, not just one. So sleeping is one of the main causes of memory loss and damage to your brain. If you don't sleep well, you are causing a lot of damage to your brain. And actually, if your brain was scanned and you don't sleep well, you can literally see the damage in your brain comparative to someone who sleeps well. So sleep is so important to the brain. It's actually where our brain regenerates, renews. There's a whole cycle that happens as you sleep. And we actually go through 5 sleep cycles as in a nighttime. And each time you go through the sleep cycle, your REM sleep gets a little longer and a little longer. And your REM sleep is where your brain heals itself. So the more disrupted your sleep is, the less you get into REM. And that means that you're actually not allowing your brain to heal through what it's dealt with during the day. And before we move into this, I just want to share with you that $84.4 billion has been spent on Alzheimer's research. 244 studies have been completed. And out of that, 243 of them failed outright. And one showed moderate success, but the placebo group did better than the treated group. So that just shows you how far we are from understanding, or how far pharma is from understanding how the brain-body connection works. So Dr. Mark Hyman says this quote, and I absolutely love it. It's kind of become my bylaw. And it's that we must learn to accept a radically new way of thinking about health, one that most doctors today are still struggling to understand. It's the idea that everything is connected. What we do, what we eat, how we think, how we sleep, how we live can change our brains literally at any moment. So if your house is on fire and you want to build a safe house, what do? Well, you start by building a strong foundation. And this is where our products that we love really stand out above and beyond everything else that's out there. So I want to just tell you what NRF2 does. So it lowers oxidative stress by an average 40% in 30 days. It increases superoxide dismutase by 30%. It increases catalase by 54%. It increases your glutathione by 300%, which is huge, 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 and we'll go over that again. The only natural supplement that has been proven to extend life by the National Institute of Aging. And as you can see, it's 5 herbs. That's it. There's nothing else in there. It's just all a synergistic blend that works together. And then the other good foundational piece is the Physique ProBio. And the reason why I think this is a foundational piece is because your brain and your gut are connected, and you have to fix your gut in order to have good brain health. It's just mandatory. So the Physique ProBio repairs a leaky gut syndrome. It's got patented BioTract technology. It has 60% culture survival rate, delivers 15 times the bacteria to the gut than the other products that are out on the market right now. Supports immune function and creates satiety and a feeling of fullness.
And I'm going to just note that most people don't know that most probiotics that they are taking does not get past your stomach. Your stomach acids spend a lot of time eating up all your probiotics, so very little of it. As a matter of fact, they predict that less than 4% is actually delivered to your intestinal tract, and that is where the damage is usually done and where the probio is needed to be reached to get the root of the problem. So the patented BioTrack is that which causes it to be time released as it's passing through your stomach into your intestine, delivering 60% to the places that it needs to go to get the gut repair done. So that's a really big deal.
So when you've built a good foundation for your house, the next thing you do is you make sure that it's energy efficient. And this brings us to the next two products. So NRF1 fights the number 2 cause of aging, which is mitochondrial dysfunction. It boosts and rebuilds your mitochondria. It works in tandem with the NRF2, and it supports cognitive and brain health, supports healthy blood and the cardiovascular system. And again, you can see it's just 5 herbs that are blended together. The Omega Plus supports cognitive, heart, and skin health. It has omega-3s. There are no omega-6s or filler oils. It has omega-7s, which optimize energy usage. It has vitamin D in it as well. And one of the things that I think is really fantastic about this product is that the Lifevantage Omega fish oils are 100% traceable from boat to bottle. And actually, I think it's a 6-hour time period from the water to processing. So the fact that they can track that and they know that is really fantastic. One thing that I discovered in all of my research is that 99% of Americans have an omega-3 fat deficiency, and no one really talks about it. So if you are not taking an omega product, you most likely are deficient. 70% of our own DNA, which controls our health and longevity, is directly affected by and dependent on our gut health. And that is a quote from Dr. David Perlmutter. And so that is why we need to be taking all of these things, because we need to be creating those healthy foundations for us to get started on building an ultra brain. So there are 7 steps to building an ultra brain. Step 1 is optimize nutrition. So food is the most important medicine anyone can take. And if you want to optimize your nutrition, you need to lower your carb intake. When you do eat carbs, make sure that they are a smart carb. Avoid all processed foods. Eat only low glycemic fruits and vegetables. And the reason that is because fruits and vegetables can turn into sugars, and you do not want sugar in your system. So, which is the next line. So completely cut out sugar. And I know that's hard for some people. Increase whole foods and plant-based foods. Increase your intake of healthy fats. Eat only grass-fed organic meat. Add coconut oil and MCT oil into your diet. Add turmeric, add purified fish oils, and do intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is when, for example, you don't eat after 8 o'clock at night, and you don't eat again until noon the next day. Some people only can push it till about 10. But this allows your body to convert fat to ketones, and ketones is an alternative fuel source for your brain. It's actually the preferred fuel source for your brain, and sugars and carbohydrates are not. So if you do intermittent fasting, that allows your body to burn the way it should burn fats, and so your brain actually prefers that. So here are some interesting things about nutrition. Doctors are taught 3 hours of nutritional training while in medical school, and virtually no training on its impact on disease. So doctors don't think about nutrition in the treatment of disease. And that is a direct quote from Dr. Mary Newport, who is really a big supporter of the ketogenic diet and the use of coconut oil and MCT oil to help people, especially with Alzheimer's. So our standard American diet, which is called SAD, and I kind of think that's funny because it is definitely sad, is high processed foods, high sugar intake, and low nutrients, which damage our gut biome. And the average person consumes 22 teaspoons of sugar a day that is hidden in our food. And the higher our blood sugar levels, the smaller our brain is. So that's another interesting fact to note, is that the more sugar you eat, the smaller your brain becomes. India has a 70% lower rate of Alzheimer's due to having nothing but the turmeric in their diet. That's the only thing that they really do differently than us, is they have a high turmeric diet. And so the fact that their rate is so much lower for Alzheimer's, that really speaks on how much turmeric can help you. And turmeric is also part of our NRF2. So the National Institute of Health knows that depression, homicide, suicide, violence, and poverty are all linked to having high omega-6 fats in your diet, which is processed oils. And people with thyroid issues, 88% of them have gluten issues as well. 80% have dairy issues, and 60 to 70% have soy issues. So if you take all three of those things out of your diet, if you're having thyroid issues, you will dramatically feel better. It helps all across the board. Wild blueberries have a purple pigment that helps repair the blood-brain barrier. The best place to get them, sorry, I was just telling you it was unstable. The best place to get them is actually Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. They have the best ones on the market. So if you're looking to incorporate blueberries into your diet, that's where you need to go to get them. And no, Trader Joe's and Whole Foods is not paying me to say that. I wish they were. Big food companies have whole teams of scientists who are paid to create food we can't stop eating. They call this the bliss point. And that's a direct quote from Michael Moss, who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. And he wrote the book, The Bliss Point. And it's the whole kind of like explosion of unmasking this dirty little secret that's out there about big food companies and why it is we can't quit eating certain foods or why we crave it. So I'm going to move on here to the next screen, which is step 2, which is balance your hormones. So I thought this was really interesting because I did not know. I mean, when I first heard about hormones, I thought it was estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And it's really so much more than that. You have 20 amino acids, 20 different kinds of amino acids, 4 icanoids, 54 peptides, and 12 steroids that all make up your hormones. So all of those things have to be kept in balance. And that's just your hormones. That's not any of the other systems in your body. So another thing here is that people with thyroid issues, let's see. Let me go back here. So hormones are critical for your brain, but are almost always untreated for imbalances. Like it's the last thing people look at is whether or not your hormones are imbalanced. If you have high stress, it will create a hormone imbalance, and a hormone imbalance then creates depression. 3 of the big epidemics for hormonal imbalance is insulin, which is too much sugar, cortisol, which is too much stress, or you don't have enough thyroid hormone. So if you look at this screen, indicators of a hormonal imbalance is insulin resistance. Sorry, can you read that, Becky?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just having it.
You bet. Anxiety and stress is caused by cortisol overloads. Hashimoto's is caused by inflammation of the thyroid gland. Graves is caused by overproduction of the thyroid hormone. Estrogen overload, breast, cervical, and uterine cancer. low progesterone, premenopause, PMS, anxiety and insomnia, so if you have low progesterone, and low testosterone actually leads to stress, weight gain, lack of exercise, you don't want to, and you crave sugar, and also depression is a sign of having your hormones out of balance.
Sorry. So if you want to get your hormones in balance, what you need to not do is eat sugar, dairy, soy, liquid calories, which would be soda. And just so you know, if you drink soda, you have a 44% higher risk of getting Alzheimer's, or eat processed foods. What you should do is eat whole foods, exercise, meditate or pray, deep breathing, relaxation, and supplementation. I do strongly suggest that if you think your hormones could be out of balance, that you seek advice from a functional medicine doctor, not a local GP. They're into more holistic medicine, and they will, I think, do a better job at treating your hormones. So, let's see. I think that takes us to cooling off the inflammation. So, inflammation is the cornerstone of every brain disease. That's a quote by Dr. John Mecret, president-elect at Western Association of Biofeedback. Reducing systematic inflammation in our body will help prevent the brain from falling into age-related chronic decline. That's from Dr. Dominic D'Agostino, who's a neuroscience and molecular pharmacologist. And if our body is inflamed anywhere, our immune system is too busy fighting the inflammation to detect and fight off disease. And that's another quote by Dr. Dominic D'Agostino. So how do you decrease inflammation? Well, you decrease it with curcumin, MCT oil, CoQ10, fish oil, and alpha-lipoic acid. And by the way, those are all things that are in our products. And I just want to talk about the Axio here for a minute, because I love the Axio. It's like my best friend. I probably drink it every day. And I just want you to know kind of what the Axio does. It's just a little package of powdered. It's not got any flavorings in it, no sugars. And you just add it to water and you drink it. And it improves mental endurance and mental acuity, improves concentration and memory retention. It increases physical and mental energy, improves your mood, increases the brain's resilience to stress, improves information processing and attention, and reduces mental fatigue and brain fog. So it's a great little thing to have and to utilize, and it does help your brain. So if you have an unhappy, chaotic, disorganized, disengaged, forgetful brain, you have an inflamed brain, and you need to get the inflammation under control. And whatever inflames your brain inflames your gut, and vice versa. So whatever inflames your gut's going to inflame your brain. Inflammation obviously is caused by our sad American diet, our food allergens, imbalances in our digestion and our immune function. And when that happens, we get widespread systemic effects. And just something to note is that autistic children have inflamed brains. So that's one of the things that they look for. And then another thing, which I wasn't sure people knew, is that 10% of our population has ADHD, but most people don't even know that they have it when they have it. So markers of ADHD is if you have a short attention span, just you're distractible, you're restless, you have disorganization, you tend to always be late, you have lack of impulse control, you say things that hurt other people, you do things without thinking things all the way through, and you have unreadable handwriting. And if you are on ADHD, most likely you've been given a prescription for Adderall. And I just want to read off like the side effects of Adderall. It's nervousness, restlessness, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, uncontrollable shaking of parts of the body, headaches, changes in sex drive, changes in sex ability, dry mouth, stomach pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, loss of appetite, weight loss, emotional extremes, and fuzzy thinking. And, you know, just like every pharmaceutical thing that's out there, they give it to you to treat a symptom. And what it does is it gives you a laundry list of other symptoms that then become problems that you have to go back and get another prescription for to handle that symptom. And then you just get caught in this cycle of trying to treat a symptom instead of actually treating the root cause. So that's just something to think about when you are going in and talking to a doctor and they're wanting to put you on a prescription. And something else about that is that for every prescription you're on, it creates one nutritional deficiency at least in your body, oftentimes multiple deficiencies. So if you're on multiple prescriptions, you're causing a lot of nutritional deficiencies in your body. And if you aren't taking steps to handle those nutritional deficiencies, you're just opening your body up for disease in other areas. So thyroid disorder symptoms that can affect your brain are fatigue, brain fog, apathy, irritability, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, bipolar disorders, and psychotic disorders. So those are also things that are all inflammation related. So we just keep piling the stuff on, and we just keep getting symptom on top of symptom on top of symptom. And then we go and we think that one pill is going to cure our ADHD or cure Alzheimer's, when in reality, there's a whole body system that we have to be looking at to handle those things. So step 4, fix your gut. This is really, really important. So most diseases start in the gut. And that's a direct quote from Dr. Mark Hyman. And as your metabolism goes down, so does your cognition. It's a quote from Dr. Dale Bredesen. And when you have imbalances in your gut health, you almost always experience anxiety. So if you have a lot of anxiety, there's a high possibility that your gut health is not good. And that comes from Dr. Permuter, who's a renowned neurologist and wrote the book, The Green Brain, which is a very good read as well. So when we are born, or before we're born, actually, when we're in the womb and developing, the cells for the brain and the gut start in exactly the same place. And as we grow in the womb, one part goes up to our brain and the other part goes down to our gut. And they are literally connected and retain cellular memory. So you will probably hear it out there that the gut is the second brain, and it really truly is the second brain. And in some ways, it does more to tell the brain how to function than the brain does to tell the gut. So as you can see by the picture here, the nerve that runs from your brain to your gut is called the vagus nerve. And only 20% of what your brain sends in communication goes to the gut. But in reverse, the gut sends 80% to the brain, telling it how to function. So if you do not have a healthy gut, you will not have a healthy brain. So you have to fix your gut. So the microbiome, which is the ecosystem of bugs in our gut, doctors know that it is linked to depression, ADHD, autism, and Alzheimer's. They all know that. They just don't know how to fix it. But we are suggesting to you that if you take the ProBio and you fix your gut and get a healthy gut going, that will transfer to your brain. So 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. So if you want a strong immune system so that you can fight off disease, you have to have a healthy gut. Did you want to?
Yeah, and in our ProBio, it is not just a probiotic, it is actually a prebiotic, and that's where it says with the Wellmune. So the Wellmune is in there also, repairing and boosting your immunities by giving you a prebiotic. So it's a combination of both, which does bring that healthy. And again, remember, like we were saying a little bit earlier, 60% of this is actually delivered down into your gut, which is your intestinal tract, where the information is being sent and received. So it's very, very powerful. And you'll see on the screen next to it, we have a cleanse. Do you address that in there? Or?
No, go ahead.
And so our cleanse is just a 7-day program that is a very, very gentle, all natural cleanse. It's not one that will keep you in the bathroom for 7 days, but it's going to give you a full on. So as you are taking your ProBio, which is every day, that's a daily, that's not a once in a while. ProBio is a daily act as your body is needing that health. The cleanse, on the other hand, you can just do like a 7-day cleanse where you eat very, very clean and get that, your intestinal tract nice and cleansed out, and just do that as even a monthly regime.
So there are trillions of bacteria in your gut, and they contain 100 times as many genes as you do. So keeping them in balance is a major priority, and everything you eat is so that these trillions of bacteria can do their job. And when you have, like I mentioned before, when you have an imbalance in your gut, you're going to feel anxiety. And even if you just have that kind of, that feeling, sometimes when you say, I'm just kind of feeling out of balance, you're probably more accurate than you realize when you say that, because you probably really are feeling out of balance, and it's probably at a gut level, and you just don't know how to fix that. So pay attention sometimes to the way you speak, because I think we intuitively know what's going on with us, and we say things like that, and it's actually truth. So another thing just to note is that diet ingredients are even worse for your biome and for your system than actual sugar. I mean, doctors who study neurology think sugar is the devil. So no sugar. But I'm telling you that if you are choosing between a diet product and sugar, take sugar, because the diet product is worse. So if you're on diet products, get off of them.
Give us a couple examples.
Well, even just like diet soda. I don't think anyone should be on soda anymore. And I used to drink a lot of it, so that was a big change for me. But, no diet sodas. Don't eat anything that comes, that says diet or low fat on the packaging. Like, none of that stuff's good for you. So you definitely want to make sure, if you have to pick something that has natural sugar in it, and not something that doesn't.
Artificial sweeteners.
Yeah, no artificial sweeteners. And if you want to replace the sugar, my suggestion is you go to stevia, because it's plant-based and it's natural. And so you just kind of have to adjust, because it's a little sweeter, so you have to adjust how you use it. But it's definitely better for you. And then here's just a question that I just thought, is a good thing to be thinking about. So 90 to 95% of autistic children have gastrointestinal dysfunction, and 70% of them have immune system abnormalities in conjunction with being autistic. And I think that that's because of that brain-mind connection. And so they have all these gut issues, and where they're being treated for brain issues instead of being treated for gut issues. So that can actually be adjusted and fixed. And Dr. Pamela Smith says that almost everyone in the world should be on a product. There are very few, probiotic. There are very few who live in the blue zones, which I don't know if you've ever heard of the blue zones, but there's only 5 places on our planet where they have the highest concentration of octogenarians. And if you look at each of those cultures, you can actually see their lifestyles all are very similar. And so they're called the blue zones. And with exception of those people who live in the blue zones, everyone should be on a probiotic. So what happens if you have a leaky gut? Well, if you have a leaky gut, it's going to amp up your inflammation. You're going to leak toxins into your brain, your heart, your immunity system, and your skin. So you really don't want that. And the only way to fix that is to be on a probiotic. And then Dr. Emran Mayer conducted a study at UCLA that proved changing our gut biome can literally change how we perceive the world around us, literally how we relate to our environment. So, that's just something that you need to think about, is that what you are eating and drinking really does affect how you see the world. And so you need to be cognizant of what kind of foods that you're putting in your system. So step 5 is enhanced detoxification. So glutathione is the master antioxidant and is found in almost every cell of the body. It is vital for cell protection as well as for proper cell function, and is therefore absolutely essential for maintaining good health. So our NRF2 product increases glutathione production by 300%, which is huge. That means that you are beyond tripling production of it in your body, which is allowing it to, as Becky said earlier, turn the sprinklers on and put the fires out in your body. So it's really, really important. Foods that are high in glutathione are broccoli, collards, kale, cabbage, kohlrabi, mustard greens, Brussels sprouts, and turnips. Bok choy, Chinese cabbage, arugula, horseradish, wasabi, and watercress. So all of those things are good things to add into your food if you're wanting to help increase some glutathione. But if you want to detox, and you should be detoxing regularly, things you should do is don't ever heat anything in plastic in the microwave. You are literally just adding toxins to your food. It's a really bad choice to do that. If you're going to heat something up in the microwave, use glass or something like that. Don't eat any processed foods. Avoid GMOs, soy, and everything that is made with them. Avoid farmed fish. You can do fresh fish, but not farmed fish. Don't eat commercially grown dark leafy greens. You're still getting way too many pesticides. So you might be thinking that you're healthy by going to the grocery store and buying, all your salad ingredients and your dark leafy greens. But if you're buying the commercial and not the organic, you're actually still taking in a lot of pesticides. Don't spray for bugs in your home, and don't use chemical-based cleaners in your home or your laundry, and use a water purifier to avoid arsenic in your water supply. And then, of course, we are breathing in every day in the air. We are breathing in mercury and lead. It's in our air, and we breathe it in every single day. And if you have, so here's the thing about genetic markers. Becky and I are breathing the same air, but if I've got something in my body that I have a genetic marker for, I'm more susceptible than she is. So just because if I'm not doing what I need to do to make sure that that gene is not expressed, then I have the likelihood that I could get mercury poisoning, whereas maybe Becky wouldn't. So this is how each person individually and their DNA and their genetics comes into play. So you just need to really think about those things, because if you're practicing a whole life process to have a healthy brain, it doesn't matter what those genetic markers are, because you're doing the prevention every day. So the industrial age has really helped us progress in life, But in the process, we're killing ourselves because of what it's putting into our air. And it's literally poisoning us. Detoxing supports our digestive system's ability to clear itself out, to purge the toxins. It nourishes our kidneys, our liver, our urinary tract, and our intestines. So you should be doing some kind of a detoxification on a regular basis. Let's see. There was also a study done in 2005 by the Environmental Working Group where they discovered that the placenta is not as strong a barrier as they thought it was. And when cord blood was checked after births, it was discovered that over 250 toxic chemicals were found in the blood. So literally, it starts in the womb. We are literally giving our babies toxins and right from the get-go that their body is trying to clear and get rid of. And so if you are pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, or you know someone who's thinking about getting pregnant, they need to be doing detoxification in advance of that process so that they are really working at not having as many toxins in their system to pass on. And then know that when you go through this process, it takes time to clean up the mess that we've created in our body. It's not going to happen overnight. You've got to clean up the mess, clear out the toxins, and then it takes months of cellular repair for your body to get back to what it's supposed to be. So a lot of people want a quick fix, and you didn't get to where you are today by a quick fix. You got there by everyday processes and lifestyle and choices. So how you get out of that is the same way, and it does take some time. The level of glutathione in your body predicts your lifespan. If you have low glutathione, you have a short lifespan. If you have high glutathione, you have a long lifespan. And that is not just for humans, it's every species on the planet. So finding a supplement that increases glutathione is the holy grail of the medical world. And that was a direct quote from Dr. Pamela W. Smith. And I say that because we have this amazing product that increases glutathione, but this woman who's on the cutting edge of Alzheimer's research, along with several other doctors, has never even heard of it, has no idea that it increases glutathione by 300%. And that just shows you how information is not getting where it needs to go, and why we're doing this, why we're talking about this, why we're trying to get the word out, because people need to know this and know that it can actually help them and that it is out there. So step 6 is boost your mitochondria. So you can actually boost your mitochondria with some things in your home already, which I loved that. So you can boost it by having lemons and limes, by using pink salt or Himalayan salt, turmeric, rosemary, ginger, oregano, cinnamon, cloves, and cilantro. So use more of those spices, use more of those things in your cooking, in your food. Stimulating mitochondria and eating ketogenic is showing it can reactivate the brain. And that's a quote from Dr. Angela Poff. And I literally, it's been, 3 weeks now, have just switched over to eating ketogenic because of everything I've learned and understanding that the ketogenic lifestyle is actually the most healthy way of eating for the brain. And so in order for me to biohack my possibility of having Alzheimer's, not only am I taking all of our foundational products, but I am choosing to eat what I know is the best nutritional program for my brain. So that is a really important thing to think about, is what are you trying to create in your health and what foods support that. So mitochondrial nutrients, which is CoQ10, carnitine, B12, B6, alpha-lipoic acid, N-acetylcysteine, ribose, vitamin D, and zinc Those all help boost your mitochondria, and they are also part of our NRF1 and NRF2. So mitochondrial dysfunction is caused by oxidative stress, inflammation, sugar, medications, and environmental toxins. When our energy cells are not working, we are either revved up really high or we are in chronic fatigue. So they are both extremes, and your body could be showing either one. The biggest toxin to mitochondria is damaged vegetable oil, which is fried foods. So you don't want to damage your mitochondria, because once they're damaged and can no longer power the cells to repair themselves, that is when the real damage begins to accumulate and happen in your body. And so get off fried foods. I love French fries. They've always been my weakness from the time I was little. And giving up French fries was a really difficult thing for me. But I don't eat French fries because I don't want that damaged vegetable oil in my body. Yeah, so let's move on to that. So we're going to show you another video here, and we're going to talk about why we believe that the platform of our products is uniquely positioned to offer a foundation for health. So this is the Vitality Stack, and these are the 4 that I showed you originally and talked about, 2 of which I think build a healthy foundation, and 2 of which I think create a good energy system. This is it. And maybe it's not going to play. Earlier. Let's see. Okay. Plan B. We're here. No, we're going to go back. All right. Hang in there with us. We're going to stop this. We're going to share another screen. And we don't have it up. We will get it up here. And Biohacking your body. Nope. Okay, hold on. Sorry, everybody. We're going to find it right here. Because we can. So hang in there with us and let us know if, actually, I'll find it faster here. I want to make sure that we, this actually shows up. Hold on. I will make sure that that's showing up. Okay. Did you have screen share on that one?
Lifevantage.
Now let's share the screen here. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Let's go back to here, and I'm gonna. Okay, ready? This time it's for real, everybody. Thank you for joining us live. We want desktop. We want here, and no. Go back to that one. Top share. Oh my, we just love live whiteboard Outlook. I do want desktop and I want share screen, but I want this one. This is the one I want. There. Now we should be running. Let's go back to the beginning. And I'm going to make sure this is showing.
Lifevantage is really looking at 2 mega trends that are developing in the world right now. One of them is the rise of the health-activated individual. It's really a movement where people are becoming highly educated about their personal health, and they research the latest scientific information. And then they use genomic results to make health choices for themselves. Another important trend is individualization. And really, when you think about it, your health is a very individual thing.
Biohacking is actually happening to us right now.
when someone understands that by changing the inputs into their body, whether that's the amount of oxygen, how they're breathing, exactly what they're eating, the kind of water they're drinking, if you realize that just by changing those things, that you could get better cognitive performance today, you could have stronger relationships, and you could be lowering your risk of neurodegenerative diseases tomorrow while actually turning on your body's mechanisms to keep you lean and mean, like, why the heck would you not want to do it?
We are aging every day. There is a certain way our genes are designed and expressed, and as we get older, they are not expressed as well as they should be, okay? So we want to turn on the system and how our function, our metabolic function, are affecting our everyday physical ability and mental ability.
So what we want to do is we want to understand the genetic code and say, how do we optimize it? I think about it with my own kids. Like, if they're not doing well in a subject, it's not because they're not smart. They just don't know how to do it yet.
So we can biohack the aging process by using NRF2 activation, NRF1 activation, using probiotics, omegas. All of these types of supplements are coming to the forefront of what we now call nutrigenomics in order to biohack the aging process.
Really, to biohack your life, first you need a goal and then a plan to get there. And you can count on Lifevantage to help you tailor the products that we have into specific programs and stacks to help you achieve your specific health goals. So a stack is multiple products put together in one bundle so that you can get a specific result that you're looking for.
So the Vitality Stack starts with the basic foundation, NRF1, NRF2 Probio, to which we added the new product, Omega Plus.
NRF1 is helping specifically our mitochondrial function. It's helping the number of mitochondria that we need, so it helps the energy state, and it's also helping as far as what the blueprint is being followed, what genes are being expressed. Unfortunately, mitochondria, they produce free radicals, and oxidative stress is actually increased the more powerful they are and the more use they are. So we need to take protandim NRF2 alongside with it to decrease that free radicals, to decrease that oxidative stress that's happening. And that's why we also call it a 1-2 punch, because not only are we helping our mitochondria function normally, but we need to clean up the debris that happens with a good functioning mitochondria.
The probiotic that we have, it's going to improve the health of the gut, which is where 80% of your immune system starts.
So to have the company create a probio that has Wellmune in it, that helps to calm that immune response, and in a timely fashion where it actually gets throughout the whole intestinal tract to address the immune system, you're addressing the reason why people don't get well.
The omega-3s are an essential component of our cell membranes, and omega-3 deficiency makes that cell membrane not function very well. We need those omega-3s to keep our cell membranes, our nervous system, our brain healthy. The other thing, vitamin D is something that is just essential from all aspects. It improves immune systems. I think when you combine all of these products together, you've got the home run.
You're allowing your body to have everything it needs to perform at its best, both for repair, performance, and prevention put together.
We're going to continue to be at the forefront of nutrigenomics, coming up with scientific products that are proven to get a better benefit than you could possibly get by just taking those ingredients alone and then applying that to the biohacking outcomes of our customers today.
And okay, back to our desktop. Oh, let's see. Let me share. What I want to do is get it underneath here. Where did our presentation go? And we're going to find our presentation down here somewhere. There we go. Okay, thanks everybody for your patience again. And where's our, coming back, screen share, share screen, and we are back. And let's go to the I'm going to go to the
Next one.
The next one. And how do I make it big again? Okay, go ahead and keep. I'm going to say keep talking, and I'll figure out how to fill up the screen with this.
So the last step in creating an ultra mind is to calm the mind. And so how you do that is you practice gratitude, you practice mindfulness, you meditate or you do prayer, deep breathing, practice yoga or Tai Chi, get lost in a hobby, journal, socialize, laugh, listen to music that calms you, and get regular deep sleep. Dr. David Katz made an interesting observation, and I just love the way that he put this. He says a lot of people tell him that they don't have time to exercise. And what he says is, well, that's interesting because I don't have time not to. I can't afford not to maintain my level of cognitive function, decrease my stress, and increase my energy and enthusiasm. And I love that because it's not just about working out your muscles. When you exercise, it's actually about what it's doing for you on a cognitive level and for your stress and your energy. And actually, exercise is better at treating depression than prescribed antidepressants. The problem is that when you have a depressed person, they don't want to get up and go exercise. So if you are dealing with a depressed person, the more you can actually get them out and get them exercising, the better off it is for them. And then I just wanted to talk about meditation. Meditation has been proven to get rid of adrenaline and cortisol and flood the brain with dopamine and serotonin, which are your bliss chemicals. So it feels good, but it also improves your production. It builds your brain. It helps with neuroplasticity. It negates impulses and can help you reverse your body's age by 8 to 15 years. So that is why if you see people, monks and things that do a lot of meditation, they don't look as old as they are because their bodies are responding to that. So another thing to think about is that our thought patterns do affect us on a physical level. And if you have a thought pattern or a belief system and you hold on to them really tightly, like you're just rigid in that thought pattern, you're literally creating tight little knots in your brain. And when you allow yourself to change your thoughts, to entertain a new idea, to open yourself up to other things, you're literally loosening that wiring, and some things that can be detrimental thoughts can literally disappear. The synapses just fade away and they disappear, and new thought patterns can be created, which is why you can literally renew your mind by the way that you think. And then you can dramatically change and lower your cortisol levels, which is your stress level, by simply lifting the corners of your mouth. If you are smiling, it actually can lower your cortisol levels. And there is a powerful physiology that happens when you express and feel gratitude. Practice gratitude every night. Name 3 things before you go to bed that you're grateful for. This trains your brain to look for what is going good in your life. And, when we're upset, if we can shift from being upset into gratitude, what it does is we're really asking ourselves, is it worth being angry right now? Is it worth being upset right now? And almost always the answer is no for that. So last but not least, things to add is make sure you're exercising. You can remake your brain every day, and exercise is one of the most powerful ways to do that. Make sure you're learning. train your brain, learn something new all the time, and keep that neuroplasticity working in your brain. Sleep is so important. I feel like sleep could be its whole own topic of discussion. But set a bedtime routine. Give yourself at least 8 hours of sleep a night, and turn off digital input at least an hour before you go to bed. And that means TV, that means your cell phone. Turn off anything like that a good hour before you go to bed. And then disconnect from our electronics. And, you know, that's a hard thing for me. My cell phone is my life, and almost more so than my laptop at this point. But literally there is an electromagnetic field around your phone. And when you have it up by your brain or by your head, you're literally creating a damaging field in your brain by all that electromagnetics. So most of us, by habit, go to bed at night and put it on our nightstand and plug it in next to our bed. And it's literally right next to our brain, throwing off all this electromagnetic field while we're trying to get REM sleep to repair our brain. So we're literally disrupting the process and don't even know that we're doing it. So, you know, I've taken to taking my phone and putting it across the room from me now. It's still in my room. It's just not next to me on the nightstand. So that's just something you can think about, which is an easy change to make in your daily practices. And then don't continue to be hijacked. Instead, you can biohack the aging code and take back control of your health. So our genes do not dictate our destiny. A predisposition is not a determinant. Just because you carry a genetic code doesn't mean you have to activate it. It only means you're at a higher risk of activating it. You can't choose your genes, but you can change your gene expression through diet, exercise, sleep, controlled stress levels, removal of toxins, and increasing healthy gut flora. It takes time to clean up the metabolic, immunological, and environmental mess that we have allowed into our individual ecosystems. First, you have to clear out the toxins, and then it takes months to repair the cellular damage. So don't give up. Once you get started in the process, keep going and don't give up. When you optimize your brain, everything gets better. Your work, your health, your relationships, you begin to fulfill your potential and you become happy. And my favorite quote is that the body-brain has the capacity to repair and heal itself with the right ingredients are provided. And that's a quote by Dr. Hyla Cass. So, are you happy living a hijacked life? Or do you want to biohack your genes and live the life you are intended to live? From my heart to yours, may your journey to health be blessed. And may we all embrace prevention so we can live life activated with an ultra brain. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you all for this. And if someone has loved you enough to share this video with you, be sure and get back with the person that shared this with you, and they'll give you more information about how to order that our recommended products, which is the Stack product for your overall life health. So thank you for joining us, and I know that I have learned so much from Trina. It has been astounding of what the last couple days as I have gone through this with her has done. And so thank you for joining us today. We'll stop this share and kind of sign off, and just hope that everyone here has an absolutely wonderful day. And I'm on my little video and on my big video here. So thank you for joining us, and we'll call this a wrap.